This video, I'm going to be sharing with you the 3 secrets of what is called your shadow self that it's time you know about. Once you know these 3 things, you're going to know yourself in a completely new way, and you're going to be able to transform your life from the inside out. Welcome back to another video. My name is Aaron, and I help people expand their consciousness. Now in this video, I'm going to be sharing with you more on what is called the shadow self and understanding these 3 parts of the shadow self that are holding you back. These 3 parts of the shadow self that are having it so that you don't really live to your full potential. And these are things that are so subtle, very insidious, because you won't be aware of it. But once you are, you begin to transform your life in a powerful way. So many of you may have heard me talk about the shadow self before. And the shadow self has to do with, in a way, the part of ourselves that hasn't yet healed. Think of it like we're going on through our life, and eventually, even at a very early age, something happens. And the moment something happens, we may give it a negative meaning. We may have this emotional reaction to it. And in that moment, we had to decide that we were a certain way or that reality was a certain way. And in that moment, you could think of it like we had our divine self when we're born. There was this splat that happens. And this splat that happens causes it to where we have to become something that we're not, or we have to develop this armor around ourselves. We have to cope with something in our life, and we assume that that's the way reality is. Well, that is what is called our shadow, and many people on the planet right now are living completely immersed in their shadow, not aware that they are more than their shadow, and not aware that they can do what is called integrating their shadow. So something that I've been going through for probably about the last year now is when I went to a place in Costa Rica. I did something called plant medicine. And doing plant medicine, it makes you go within your subconscious mind. It makes you understand a lot more about yourself, and you do a lot of deep inner work. And when I did it, I became very aware of a shadow part of me, the shadow part of me that wasn't yet healed from past experiences. Stuff that happened in my childhood. Maybe a lot of you know about my childhood or have heard me talk about it, just between the ages of 7 to 15 years old, where I had a stepmom in my life at the time that was very emotionally, physically, and mentally abusive. And I had no freedom whatsoever. So during that period, I developed this armor around me of this person that I had to become in order to survive, in order to get through that time. And that's when I developed what is called my shadow self. Where doing this plant medicine, it made me aware more of that shadow self, and it allowed me to really integrate it in a powerful way, to really heal the past version of me. So the first one I'll talk about when it comes to the shadow self that you might not be aware of is that a lot of your shadow came and was developed when you were a child. And when you were a child, something happened. And the moment something happened, you subconsciously gave it a meaning, and that meaning may have caused you to then live a certain pattern the rest of your life. Maybe your dad said something to you that made you feel less than worthy, and now when you go out into the world, you're used to being treated that way, and you expect to be treated that way. All because of one situation that happened when you were a kid. I had one situation where when I was doing that plant medicine, what happened was I had this remembrance of this flashback to this memory that I had that I totally was unaware of, was not consciously aware of this memory. But I had this remembrance of one day coming home. I was about 5 or 6 years old, and I was at the time going back and forth from my mom's house to my dad's house because they're divorced. And going back and forth, I remember that every time I'd come home from my mom's house, I'd go to my dad's house and he'd have an action figure on the bed. And that action figure, we'd ask, me and my brother would be like, well, what's this for? And he'd be like, oh, it's just because I love you. And every time we came home from what's called a 6-day, my dad's a firefighter, so I'd be at my mom's for like 6 to 9 days, and then I'd go to my dad's for 6 days. So when I go to my dad's, there'd be that waiting on the bed. Well, it was like that for about a year. And then I had a flashback to one day coming home, and the action figure was not there on the bed. There was no action figure. And that's when the action figure stopped. Now, I know looking at this now, you say, well, dude, it's just an action figure. Like, of course, logically now, at the age I am now, I look back at that and I'm like, oh, you know, I gave that a wrong meaning, or I was making that a big deal. But to a 5 or 6 year old version of me, that was a big deal because it was like, where's the love? Is there no more love? Does my dad still love me? Then maybe from that point on, I was always seeking validation from my dad, always wanted to do things the right way, always wanted to make him proud, make him happy. But what I realized is I hadn't healed my inner child. So the shadow self, one of the first secrets about the shadow self that you may not be aware of is that what you must do is become aware of your inner child and heal your inner child. So what I would do in that situation is love the 5 to 6 year old version of me and explain. I'd actually do a meditation and imagine myself comforting that 5 to 6 year old version of me. Say, Aaron, it's okay. It's okay that the action figure isn't there. Your dad still loves you. The action figure doesn't really mean anything. The love is what's real. I could then give that version of me a hug and understand that it's okay and allow myself to feel it. So the reason I share this story with you is so that you can also go within yourself and heal your inner child. Has something happened when you were a kid that in a moment you gave something a negative definition, maybe someone did something to you, whatever it is, imagine yourself and literally comfort that version of you. Because time in a way is relative. Time doesn't really exist the way that we think it does. And when you become aware of that, there's still a 5 or 6 year old version of you back in your timeline that hasn't been healed yet. And because of that, it's dragging itself forward to this timeline now to where you still feel like you're not worthy, whole, and complete. So if you want to not repeat the past, you must complete the past. And the way you do that is through forgiveness and through love. Forgive something somebody did to you. Forgive yourself for something that you may have done. Have unconditional love. Because as you do so, you complete the past, therefore you no longer have to repeat the past. So the first secret to the shadow self is healing the inner child and understanding that your inner child may be wounded. It may have some level of residue from the past. And it may, in the timeline, be coming to this present time right now and still affecting you. And the way that you change that is you heal it. You heal that version of you, you comfort that version of you. Do a meditation and literally embrace that version of you. Give it unconditional love. And then you'll feel like you start to transform it. You know, sometimes I see people walking around. And when I look at even my ex-stepmom was very mentally, physically abusive. She, in a way, was like a bully. She was a bully. She was bullying around. She's a control freak. Everything had to be her way. And it's probably why now I'm like a rebel. Because I don't like to be told what to do. That's why I don't work for anyone else. You know, I work for myself now. However, she was bullied when she was a kid. So it's easier to forgive her because I realized that she was bullied when she was a kid, but that made her become a bully. So she, in a way, is living out her life as a 12-year-old. As a 12 to 14-year-old who is bullying other people because she hasn't healed that part of her past. So therefore, she still acts that way. And it's ironic too because my little sisters, who that's their biological mom, she's my stepmom, so I never have to talk to her again. My sisters, though, that are their biological mom, my half-sisters, she's almost like a friend to them in a way, in some ways. She's still kind of got that control factor, but I almost think that she just relates to them because they're like 12 to 15, you know, they're like 12, they're like 15 and now almost 18 years old. But she almost is that because she hasn't healed that part of herself. She's still like a 14-year-old bully who is now an adult and has to take it out on other people. So that's why healing the shadow self is important. Not to say that yours is to that extent, but understand that the shadow self is something that most people are living completely within. So understand that you can heal your inner child. And by healing your inner child, you heal your present timeline as well. Now the second secret to your shadow self that you may not be aware of is that the negative beliefs, you know, beliefs create your reality. Whatever you believe to be true is reflected back to you. Negative beliefs have a positive payout. Now, the positive depends upon the perspective, but your negative beliefs have a payoff. And that payoff is to keep you safe within the ego self as what is comfortable, what you've always known, what is the most predictable. your negative beliefs are keeping you safe and are keeping you within the ego confinements of what and how is the most safe probable reality. So for example, you may have a negative belief that says that you're not capable of making $100,000 per year if you're making $50,000 a year right now. You could say, that's a negative belief. Well, it is a negative belief, but understand that there is a payoff there that is still happening. That payoff is it's keeping you safe. It's keeping you from working, quote unquote, hard. It's keeping you from doing things that you haven't done before, trying new things, opening up new opportunities, stepping into uncertainty. To get to $100,000 a year, you have to step outside of the bubble of what you know and start to expand your field to other probable things you could be doing. But the negative belief that you're not capable of doing it, or that you're not worthy of it, or that you don't deserve it, seems like that's just a negative belief, but it has a payoff. The payoff is to keep you the same, to keep you within the ego. So the power of this is knowing that once you know that there is a payoff, you can redefine that payoff. You can see that, and you can almost comfort the part of you that's scared and be like, I know it seems scary. I know it's a little bit more uncertain. I know that I won't know exactly what will happen, but I trust the process in knowing that this is a part of my growth. And by doing so, you then look at the negative belief, you identify it, and you can see it for what it is. Most of transforming your life is about awareness. Just becoming aware, because most people's life are 99.9% on autopilot. People living out the same patterns of their parents, of the beliefs they've gained when they were young. Most of people are living out the patterns of the thoughts they consistently think on a day-to-day basis. And therefore, they create the same reality over and over and over again. But the key to this process is becoming aware of it, because then you can transform it. And when you're aware that there's these beliefs that are keeping you within your ego, you can then transcend it by choosing something new. Choose something new. Imagine this bubble of what's comfortable. Step outside that bubble. In the uncertainty is where miracles happen. Miracles never happen in this little certain bubble of what you can expect and what you expect to happen, because it's so predictable. And when it's predictable, you'll get what you've always got. Think the same thoughts, feel the same emotions, do the same things, therefore get the same results. Get into the uncomfortable, step into the unknown. That's where magic happens. That's where transformation happens. So understand that that's another aspect of this that begins to change as you step outside of it. Now, the third secret of the shadow self has to do with understanding that your shadow self and your ego in general always wants to be right. Because there's a mode, there's a model for the way we see the world. And if something doesn't happen within that model, we get mad. And it brings out what is called LVE, low vibrational energy. And it's almost like a trigger. And you may look at me and think that because I'm on YouTube, I'm completely clear of LVE, low vibrational energy. Or like I don't have a shadow self. The key is the awareness of it. For example, the other day, Lior and I were coming back from Hawaii to Los Angeles. We were booking our flight. We both were booking the flight at the same exact time. And when we were booking it, we decided that we wanted to upgrade to business class so that we had more space, because it would be about a 5-hour flight. And it wasn't that much difference in price, so we're like, why not upgrade? So we upgraded to business. Well, what happened was it was a certain price. Then what happened is Lior's went through, and when it went through, she got her confirmation number and everything. I then pushed the button to make my transaction goes through, and when my transaction goes through, it says, sorry, your transaction couldn't go through. And the reason being was because the price went up. So the price went up about $160 within 1 minute. And the reason that happened is because every time somebody buys a plane ticket in first class or business class, it ups the price. So I got triggered. I was like, this isn't right. We were both booking it at the same exact time. How come I have to pay $160 more for no reason? And then what happened is Leora helped me with this, but I was becoming more aware that this really wasn't that big of a deal. $160 isn't going to make or break anything. But even more importantly, I became aware of this because I just got done reading this. I then called the Expedia, tried to get them to lower the price, and it wasn't happening. I was kind of mad at the lady because she wasn't able to make it happen. And I was like kind of being short with her. I wasn't being mean, but I was like, okay, thank you. You know, I was definitely closing off my energy. And then I had the epiphany. The reason I was in pain is because my ego was trying to be right. It's wrong that the price should be one price and then 2 minutes later the price goes up. That's not right. Why should I pay more when I was already booked? I already was just pushing the button, but all of a sudden I have to pay more. But what I realized is that when you give up the need to be right, you become free. When you give up the need to be right, over 90% of your life will start to work out for you because you won't let anything else lower your vibration. So the moment I came to that realization, I started to feel better about it because I'm like, this is amazing because this is going to lead, there's something I'm creating right now called the shift experience. The shift experience is a total shift in consciousness. I'm living through this experience right now, and that's why now I'm creating it, because I'm literally experiencing the benefits of it, of understanding the beliefs, how beliefs create our reality, how when we change our beliefs, we change our reality, and how to shift into a new level paradigm. So that's something that I'm dealing with and going through right now. So for this process, understand that your shadow self may be running most of your life experience, and the key to that is actually integrating your shadow. Now, if you want, I have a free webinar training on how to create and have what is called emotional transformation. It's a free training webinar, and it'll show you how to integrate your shadow self. It's in the top of the description box below. I recommend you listen to it on desktop if you can, so that you can join and see all the chat and everything. But that will help you to learn how to transform, I'll show you how I let go of my painful past, how I raised my vibrational set point, and how I became emotionally free. I show you how to do all three of those things in that free training. So that'll be in the top of the description box below. And just know that for this process, the more you become aware of these, the more your life begins to change. So remember, your negative beliefs have a payoff. The payoff is to keep you safe. Once you're aware of that, you begin to transcend out of it. You can start to do things you haven't done before. You can trust the process. You can understand as well that you can heal your inner child. That there's a part of you back in your timeline that hasn't been healed yet. Love that version of you. Do a meditation and connect to that version of you. Connect to your inner child. At the same time, realize that the more you tap into your natural vibration of who you're meant to be, the more that you become aware of the shadow self in general, is the more that you begin to transform your life. So something else we'll be doing is more live Q&As on Instagram. So if you want to ask me questions on Instagram, you'll see that right here. I also post twice a day there as well. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed this video. Feel free to like this video if you've liked it. Subscribe if you haven't already. Hit the little notification here next to the subscribe button so you can see the daily vids that I do. Let me know if you're ready below for the shift experience. I'd love to see if you're excited about it. I'll be having that training coming out probably within the next month. And other than that, I'll talk to you in the next video. Peace, much love, and namaste.